Sarah walks into her boss's office on a Tuesday afternoon in March. She's been at the company for 12 years. She's terrified. She's got an offer from a competitor. Better title, better team, better growth trajectory. But here's the thing. The salary is almost identical, maybe 8% more, which, after taxes, is about $120 a month. She shows it to her boss anyway because that's what you're supposed to do. And her boss doesn't panic. He doesn't fight for her. He just nods and says, "That's a lateral move. You're not going anywhere." And Sarah sits there realizing something that most people don't figure out until their 40s. Her company isn't paying her what she's worth. They're paying her exactly what they calculated it takes to keep her from leaving. My name's Julian, and I've spent way too much time looking at how companies actually price their employees. And it's not what you think. So if you've ever wondered why getting promoted feels like running on a treadmill, or why your salary ceiling appears the moment you stop being replaceable, stay with me because we're going to break this down. Before we get into Sarah's story, we need to understand how companies actually calculate what to pay you. Most mid-sized to large companies don't just throw a number at the wall. They use something called a salary band system. And once you understand how it works, you'll never negotiate the same way again. Here's the structure. Every job has a minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum. Let's say you're a marketing manager. Minimum, $65,000. Midpoint, $82,000. Maximum, $99,000. When you get hired, you come in somewhere near the minimum, maybe $68,000. You're grateful. You have a job. You have health insurance. You start building a life around that number. But here's where it gets interesting. That salary band isn't built on what you're worth. It's not based on the value you generate for the company. It's based on three things: market rates for that role, what competitors are paying, and this is the important part, what keeps people from leaving. The company has data. They know that marketing managers at their level, with your experience, will start job searching if they fall below a certain number. That number isn't the minimum. It's usually somewhere between the midpoint and the maximum. Let's call it the retention threshold. For a marketing manager, that threshold might be $78,000. Below that, people leave. Above that, they stay. So here's what happens. You start at $68,000. Every year you get a raise. Maybe 3%, maybe 2.5%. You're climbing. Slowly, you're climbing toward that retention threshold. By year 5, you're at $78,000. Right at the line. And then something magical happens. Your raises slow down. A lot. From 3% raises to 2% to 1.5%. Why? Because you've hit the number where you stop looking. You've hit the point where the psychological pain of staying is less than the friction of leaving. And the company knows this. Precisely. Now, the question is why this works. The psychology. Now, you might be thinking, Julian, why doesn't Sarah just leave? She has an offer. And that's the genius part. Because leaving isn't actually a single decision. It's a cascade of decisions that the salary structure makes harder. Let's do the math on Sarah's situation. She makes $95,000. She's been there 12 years. Her new offer is $102,000. On paper, that's a 7% raise. Sounds good, right? But here's what her brain is actually calculating. First, there's the switching cost. She loses her accumulated vacation days. Most companies don't carry them over. She loses her 401k match for 12 months while vesting resets. She loses seniority in the office, which means less flexibility, less influence, less political capital. Just those three things? They're worth about $8,000 to $12,000 in real value. So her real raise is actually $2,000 to $6,000. But that's not what her brain calculates. Her brain calculates something different. It calculates friction. Now let's talk about what this actually costs you over time. Let's say you stay at a company for 15 years. You're in that salary band. You get 2% raises every year, maybe 3% when you get promoted, which happens twice in 15 years. In those 15 years, you accumulate about $1.2 million in gross salary. If you job hopped every 3 to 4 years, which is what research shows maximizes lifetime earnings, you'd have accumulated about $1.6 million. The difference? $400,000. That's not a calculation companies hide. They know this. And they're betting you don't. They're betting that you value the comfort of knowing your job, the relationships you've built, and the friction-free mornings where you don't have to prove yourself all over again. And honestly, they're not wrong. For a lot of people, that comfort is worth $400,000 over a career. But the question is, are you doing it intentionally? Or are you doing it because the system is designed to make you feel like you have no choice? You know what Sarah did? She stayed. Not because she thought about it rationally, but because the friction of leaving felt higher than the benefit of staying. 6 months later, she got a 4% raise. The company nudged her just enough to keep her at the retention threshold. She felt grateful. She'd been there 12 years. They were taking care of her. What she didn't realize is that she was paying for that comfort. She was paying $400,000 of her lifetime earnings. The company wasn't doing her a favor. They were doing the math, and they calculated that keeping her just comfortable enough to stay was cheaper than letting her leave. Drop a like if this changed how you think about your next raise. I'll see you in the next one.